அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா. ம் எல்லாம் இப்பதான் என்ட்ரு ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள. சரி அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா. ம் எல்லாம் இப்பதான் என்ட்ரு ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள. சரி அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா. ம் எல்லாம் இப்பதான் என்ட்ரு ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள. சரி அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா. ம் எல்லாம் இப்பதான் என்ட்ரு ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள.
ஓகே
அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு
ஆல்ரெடி அன்மியூட்டட்.
ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா.
ஸ்கிரீன் பவர் பாயிண்ட் உங்களுக்கு ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
இப்பதான் என்ட்ரு ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள.
ஓகே ஓகே பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு
சார் ஆல்ரெடி அன்மியூட்டட்.
ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா.
ஸ்கிரீன் பவர் பாயிண்ட் உங்களுக்கு ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
இப்பதான் என்ட்ரு ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள.
ஓகே ஓகே பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு
சார் ஆல்ரெடி அன்மியூட்டட்.
ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா.
ஸ்கிரீன் பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
இப்பதான் என்ட்ரு ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள.
ஓகே ஓகே பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு
சார் ஆல்ரெடி அன்மியூட்டட்.
ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா.
ஸ்கிரீன் பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
இப்பதான் என்ட்ரு ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள.
ஓகே ஓகே பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு
சார் ஆல்ரெடி அன்மியூட்டட்.
ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா.
ஸ்கிரீன் பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
இப்பதான் என்ட்ரு ஆகிட்டு இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள.
ஓகே ஓகே பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு
சார் ஆல்ரெடி அன்மியூட்டட்.
ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா.
ஸ்கிரீன் பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
இருக்காங்கண்ணா. 50 பேர் வந்துட்டாங்க உள்ள.
ஓகே ஓகே பவர் பாயிண்ட் ஷேரிங் ஆயிடுச்சா?
அண்ணா ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு
சார் ஆல்ரெடி அன்மியூட்டட்.
ஓகேண்ணா ஓகேண்ணா ரைட் கேக்குதுண்ணா.
ஸ்கிரீன் அப்படி ரன் பண்ணிருக்கேன்.
கேக்குது அண்ணா. நான் சங்கர் பேசுறேண்ணா. அண்ணா ஆரம்பிச்சிடலாண்ணா. ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா ஆரம்பிச்சிடலாண்ணா. அண்ணா உங்களுக்கு இன்னும் டவர் சரியா கிடைக்கல, கொஞ்சம் டவர் கொஞ்சம் இது பண்ணிங்க. ஆரம்பிச்சிடலாம். Good morning to everyone. behalf of Department of Physical Education, Congo Arts and Science College, Erode is conducting national level webinar on psycho-regulatory techniques in sports. Now start with the prayer. பாட்டு கேக்குதா? கேக்குது கேக்குது. ஸ்பீக்கர் இருக்கா அதுல?
सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै सह वीर्यं सहनौ भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै सह वीर्यं सहनौ भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावतीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै
Welcome address. Good morning to our correspondent K. Palanichami, our principal Dr. N. Raman, resource person Dr. S. T. N. Rajeswaran, Professor Department of Physical Education, Bharatiyar University, head of the departments of our college, colleagues, and my dear participants in this webinar. On behalf of Kongu Arts and Science College, I would like to extend warm welcome to our resource person, Dr. S.T.N. Rajeswaran, Professor, Department of Physical Education, Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore. We are indeed grateful for your gracious presence, Anna. I feel grateful to welcome our correspondent through K. Panichami, our principal, Dr. N. Raman. We are a great guidance for the department of and this webinar. Let me welcome our dear faculties who take constant efforts for this learning of the participants. Finally, I welcome our dear participants who are all set to make this webinar a remarkable one. Thank you. Now I am introducing the resource person to all the participants. It gives me great pleasure to introduce the resource person, Dr. S.T.N. Rajeswaran, Professor, Department of Physical Education, Bharatiyar University, Coimbatore. He has, to his credit, of 25-year experience in this field. His areas of specialization: psychology, statistics, research methodology, and track and field. He has produced 16 PhD and 50 MPhil. He is published 3 books, 25 papers, and 30 papers presented all over various national and international conferences. He has worked Dean of Education in Bharatiyar University and 3 years worked in Principal in charge in Bharatiyar University Arts and Science College, Tondamuthur, and he is in charge of Director of Physical Education in Bharatiyar University in year of 2018. A person such a magnitude will truly inspire us. Thank you. Now I hand over the session Dr. S.T.N. Rajeswaran. Anna, thank you. Rajeswaran.
Very good morning to all. Most respected correspondent, most respected principal of Kongu Arts and Science College, Europe, Dr. Ram sir, most respected and my own brother, Dr. Sanjay, professors and directors of physical education from various colleges and universities, research scholars from various universities, and my dear brothers. Really very happy to share the experience I have had in the field of psychology. With this webinar system. I must thank the management of Kongu Arts and Science College, Vellore, Europe. Really, it is immense pleasure for me. They have conducted like this webinar, many more in different topics. Before this, in that way, I appreciate the task initiated by Dr. K. Sankar and his nurture and his enthusiasm over the field of sport. Today, we have to say that in this session regarding psycho-regulatory technique. Psycho-regulatory technique is used in sport, not only in the sport, in all, we can use the same in day-to-day life also. But the psycho-regulatory technique.
அண்ணா வீடியோ ஆன் பண்ணீங்கண்ணா. நான் வீடியோ ஆன் பண்ணீங்கண்ணா.
Video. Audio visual sir.
ஆடியோ ஓகேண்ணா, வீடியோ மட்டும் ஆன் பண்ணிட்டுண்ணா.
என்ன
ரைட், ஓகேண்ணா, ஓகே. அப்படியே ஸ்லைடு அப்படியே கொண்டு வந்துருங்க. ஓகேண்ணா, ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்கண்ணா.
சார் பிகினிங்ல ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுமா? கேட்டுச்சா? ஆடியோ கேட்டுச்சா?
ஆடியோல கேட்டுச்சு. நீங்க ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க. எல்லாம் பிகினிங்ல இருந்து ஸ்டார்ட், எல்லாமே கேட்டுச்சு. நீங்க வீடியோ மட்டும் ஆன் பண்ணாம இருந்துச்சு. ரைட்.
ஏற்கனவே நான் எல்லாத்தையும் இன்டர்நெட் ஓபன் ஆகுது. விசுவல்
எல்லாம்
ஆடியோ
ஓபன் ஆகுது,
வரதா?
ஓபன் ஆகுது.
Again, I repeating, please. Psycho-regulatory technique. In day-to-day modulation of behavior. That is in nature. The psycho-regulatory technique normally in the healer sport, either for individual or a group. Such type of
உள்ள வந்துட்டீங்களா?
அண்ணா ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்கண்ணா, அண்ணா ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்கண்ணா. அண்ணா கேக்குதா? அண்ணா ஜாயின் வித் ஆடியோ கொடுங்க, ஜாயின் வித் ஆடியோ. டேனிஸ் அண்ணா ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க, அண்ணா ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க. அண்ணா ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க.
Hello.
அண்ணா ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணுங்க.
Okay. From again, I repeat. We discuss the psycho-regulated technique. We have to discuss in this session. And in this way, what the psycho-regulated to before the technique we are discussing psycho management training. We have to have about what is anxiety, what is stress, how anxiety and stress is affect the players and also the people in the day-to-day life. Now, this technique can be for individual because it is depend upon the individual needs. Psycho-regulated technique is so specific to manage the stress and anxiety. It is about to change behavior of a person. Normally, this technique is different in nature and also various types of issues. In fact, psycho-regulated technique used to modify behavior and emotional state of feelings. What is the name of the psycho-regulated technique nowadays?
அண்ணா சவுண்ட் ரொம்ப கம்மியா இருக்குண்ணா, கொஞ்சம் சவுண்டா சுத்தமா கேட்க மாட்டேது.
According to World Health Organization, in 2030, it is expected that nearly 23.6 million people they have to face a very deadly disease, that is a cardiovascular disease. The disease is often associated with the risk factors. What are the risk factors? Normally, I have given here the stress, the sedentary lifestyles, smoking, and unhealthy diet. Number of risk factors we have already. Among the risk factors associated with the cardiovascular diseases, it is because of the very first prominent factor is stress. Because of that, the World Health Organization is expecting in 2030 nearly 23.6 million of people they have to face such type of the psycho-regulated technique to the individual and the family, help them to have awareness about the stress and how to improve the quality of life. The main purpose of the psychoanalytic technique, that is the goals, having the experience over the psychoregulatory technique, it helps the people to enhance their coping skills. Coping, it is a psychological skill. It deals with the ability of an individual to free from the adverse situations. If any miserable situation is happening either in the human life or for a player in the sport life, some of the people can easily come out from the particular miserable situation, whereas some of the people will always be in or stick on the particular situation again and again. They will think about that. So in that way, such type of ability we are calling hope. Sir, are you getting my point regarding the hope? Then the next is that psychological technique helps the person to decreases ambivalence in making decisions by way of decreasing the psychological stress and anxiety, enhance the self-efficacy of individual and the perception of the responsibility. Perception refers the individual ability to perceive the situation. The individual perception is determining the way in which the individual is behaved. According to Swami Vivekananda, he will be of what we presume. என்ன நினைக்கிறோமோ அது போலே நம்ம ஆகும் அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்களே சுவாமி விவேகானந்தா. In that way, a player in the sport or a person in the day-to-day life, how they perceive the situation in the normal life or in the sport life, they will behave and they will like their behavior. So they have to understand the situation around them, and the situation around them, how they perceive. As far as possible, they have to identify the root cause of the situations and perceive in the positive way. Such type of for a play that can have the over the side. In some, it improves life.
அண்ணா
அண்ணா சங்கர்,
அண்ணா பேசுங்கண்ணா, பேசு, கேக்குறேங்க, கேக்குறேங்க. ஆடியோபலா இருக்கு, ஆடியோபலா கேளுங்க, பேசுங்க, பேசுங்க.
Now we have to discuss about the importance of mind.
இதே சவுண்ட்ல பேசுங்கண்ணா அப்படியே.
Mind. Psychology deals with the mind. Plus mind. It deals with the mind and logic. Deals with the study of mind. Here we have to discuss about what is the need of mind, what importance we people we are giving to the mind. Let's take any event or any art. The success of any event in our life is determined by both body and mind. The functions of mind is slightly by functions of the body. Yes, why I am saying that mind is a prime mover for success of all human beings. But once we are giving our, we just have to go through cleaning the environment and cleaning the body every day, and wherever we are outside and come inside, that cleaning the machines what we are using in our day-to-day life, and we are conducting periodic checkup for our body. So this is the external mechanism of a human body, but much more importance we are giving only for this aspect. But the very prime factor dealing with the environment, dealing with human body is only mind. We are not giving importance to the mind. So mind is the primary role for initiating and decision making on outcome of all these. Here, what importance is giving to keep mind health? நாம வந்து பாடிக்கு எந்த அளவுக்கு முக்கியத்துவம் தர்றோமோ, பட் எந்த அளவுக்கு முக்கியத்துவம் தர்றோம் அப்படின்றது வந்து பார்க்கும் பொழுது that we least importance only we are giving. I want to proverb that free from distress, free from miserable situations, they have to drain their miserable. The you say module has been displayed in that role of body and mind in the sports performance. In sport performance is a product of body and mind. How much in sport as per functions of the performance is concerned in sport, body and mind are equal distant. You can have this from the U model. Body from the individual tolerance, the body and mind at an equal distant.
என்ன அப்படியே கண்டினியூ வாங்கண்ணா. ஆனா அன்மியூட் பண்ணீங்க, மைக் அன்மியூட் பண்ணீங்க.
This is the inverted U hypothesis. You just see the inverted U hypothesis. It reflects the role of arousal and performance. Arousal is the product of the anxiety and stress. You just visualize the relation between the arousal and performance. For which the inverted U hypothesis has been given here. The y-axis is just to show that
ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா, ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா, அண்ணா அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு வா. ராஜேஷ் அண்ணா அன்மியூட் பண்ணுங்கண்ணா. மியூட் பண்ணிருக்கீங்க, அன்மியூட் பண்ணிட்டு பேசுங்க. அண்ணா பேசுங்கண்ணா.
So next, what will be in that low level of arousal and high level of arousal? Why the performance is so poor? In the low level of arousal, in the low level of arousal and high level of arousal, when the level of arousal is low, the individual is not able to understand the situation around him. That is a readiness. Whereas when the level of arousal is high, he is unable to concentrate over. Thus, the poor performance will be when the person in the low level of arousal and high level of arousal. Only the moderate level, the performance will be high. This was that from the inverted U hypothesis. The factors affecting the poor performance, when the level of arousal is low, I just describe the factors. Under the low level of arousal, person cannot be able to read it right. Whereas the arousal, his physiological systems will be, the function of the physiological systems will be high. Because of that, he cannot be able to concentrate over the task what he has. Whereas in the case of moderate level of arousal, whether a player and an individual can be able to understand the situation around him. Then next we have discussed about 7 steps to peak performance. The 7 steps to peak performance is developed by Richard M. Sween. He is a psychologist of US, United States of America. This is a very proven technique. I have here only for the 7 steps only. For each step, that is relaxation training, how to manage the stress, how to enhance the positive thought, how to regulate the self, then mental rehearsal, concentration, steps. Each step we have given some type of the training. The type of training I am not giving here, only giving the steps only. Normally in the relaxation training, having the relaxation training, a player in sport able to stress, having the ability to over the major stress, the thought, the ability to regulate by himself, then mentally himself, he has going to participate, he can have control the energy he has to consume. So in that way, all these 7 steps helps a player, an athlete, or any individual in the task they have to reach peak performance. Now, what about the need and distress? Need is the root cause for aim, objectives, and the goal fixed by a player. In life, the need is only determine the level of stress of an individual. When the player is not able to fulfill his need, what will happen? In fact, need is an endless product. According to Adam Smith, you know that there is a famous economist. He says that man's wants are unlimited, but the means to fulfill the needs is very limited. So in that way, we cannot be able to fulfill the need. In sport or life, the need of a player may either to win or to reach the goal he fixed. When the need is arise, what will happen? To fulfill the need, normally a player or any individual, they will seek the action line. Action line is nothing but the source by which he has to fulfill the need. That is called seeking a different action line. In seeking different action line, one of the factors is determining, one of the factors is affecting, the factor is personality type. The personality is innate behavior of an individual. It is different from, actually we can classify the individual personality like that introvert, extrovert, and ambivert in that way. Thus the personality type of a person will determine the action line of an individual to fulfill the need. In such circumstances, the conflict arises while the action line is unable to fulfill the need what he has. Thus, the need of a person is placing the person to be the anxious situation or stress. Next. Now, anxiety. Anxiety is an unexplained behavior. What is anxiety? What is unexplained behavior? If you are asking any player or athlete with the normal life, what are you doing right now? They will simply say they cannot be able to understand, they cannot be able to explain the situation in which he is. That type of situation refers to the anxiety of an individual. In fact, anxiety is needed to predict for all type of event. Anxiety is a product anxious of a person, it gives readiness to the person to do. If we participate in any activity, some amount of anxious, the level of anxious, some amount of anxious is needed for us to concentrate over that. In that way, the anxious is needed for a person to do. But anyhow, the level of anxious, we have to think. The level of anxious neither low nor high. It has already been displayed in the already displayed in the inverted U hypothesis. Because of anxious only, the level of arousal is high. When the level of anxious is less, the level of arousal also will be less. When the level of anxious is more, the level of arousal also is more. So anxious is a source source for the individual arousal level. But normally, to have the peak performance, the level of anxious should be in the moderate, as we discussed in that level of arousal should be in the moderate. Then the next important one is identify the root cause of anxiety. This is the foremost important in regulating the anxious, because anxiety is a psychological aspect. When we are going to manage, we are going to regulate the anxiety, we should understand the root of anxiety. Without understanding the root cause of the anxiety, we cannot be able to regulate the level of anxious among the players in any sport. But it is very difficult to find the root cause of anxiety. Then the next one, we like the person to realize the situation under of him. It's our effort to make realize the person what type of situation and in which situation the individual is getting anxiety. Then what are the sources for the anxiety? In sports situation, a player during the game situation, when the anxiety is set, the player is concerned, when the reaction is declared, that time itself the anxiety will be set. Why the anxiety is set? Anxiety is because of the individual need. The player wanted to fulfill the need. The need is to win the match. Because of the need to win the match, he is getting anxiety. So when we are getting the date, for example, 2 months after, so getting the date of competition, the player is getting the anxiety. When the anxiety is to be zero, the anxiety will be zero. The level of anxiety for a player or an athlete will be zero when he is entering the competition. So in the distance in between the anxiety set and the anxiety zero, that the individual physical and physiological mechanism will be affected. Or we only regulate the anxiety. To regulate the mechanism, we need to apply some psychoregulatory technique to understand the situation. Then only you can be able to manage the miserable and the anxious situations. Now we have to discuss the impact of the psychological imbalance of an individual in the physical, physiological, and the sociological functions. Because of psychological imbalance, what will happen in the physical aspect? A player or the individual cannot unable to extract the physical ability. What physical ability he has? Normally, a player can exhibit his skills in the training period, whereas when we are expecting the same ability what he already described in the training schedule, we cannot expect the same in the competitive schedule. It is because of the psychological imbalance. That psychological imbalance is managed. That psychological imbalance can be reduced by application of the psychoregulatory technique as far as physical is concerned. Then the physiological aspects, because of psychological imbalance, what will happen? The blood pressure will be high, heart will be increased. Then that also will be increased. So these are physical changes will be happen because of the psychological imbalance. The one more point, psychomotor. Psychomotor is nothing but it is an ability of an individual in which both body and mind will function, as we discussed, at an equal distance. What is vision? If will be narrow, that is 120 to 140, the level of vision, the range of vision will be narrow when the player under the stress or any unsafe situations. Whereas if he is in the moderate level, the vision will be the 180 degree to 210 degree. That is the psychomotor ability. The psychomotor other ability also the reaction ability, then that the coordination, then the balance. These are all the things will affect. It is because of the psychological imbalance. Likewise, in the social aspect, we can get the player cannot be able to accommodate, and it will affect and it will affect ability. Because of all these effect to physical, physiological, psychomotor, and social, it affects the team success or individual success. Impact of society. As we discussed, when the psychological aspect, because of anxiety, it changes some physiological aspects of individual. Because of the changes in the physiological aspect, it affects the psychological, the physical aspect. In some, such a psychophysiological changes in the human life, finally it will affect the performance of a person. So this is the impact of anxiety. நல்லா பார்த்திருப்போம் பீயிங்ல ஆன்சைட்டியை வந்து நம்ம மூணா பிரிக்கலாம். ஆன்சைட்டி பிஃபோர் ஆன்சைட்டி, ப்ரீ காம்படிட்டிவ் ஆன்சைட்டி, காம்படிட்டிவ் ஆன்சைட்டி and post competitive anxiety. The pre-competitive anxiety, pre-competitive anxiety, as we already discussed, it will be set at the time of we have the date of the competition, but it will be increased by day by day, a week before, a month before. When the week before or a day before, the level of anxiety of a person, that level of anxiety will affect the physiology system of a person. That is called the physiology. Because of the psychophysiology, the individual physical functions also will affect. So this is called impact of anxiety. There are the types of anxiety. Normally there are two types of anxiety. One is state anxiety and another one is state anxiety. Situational based one, and trait anxiety is genetical based or the engineering based. Persons with anxiety prone tend to perform that risk behavior such as excessive consumption of alcohol, tobacco, that exhibit physical activity leading to appearance of clinical issues. This might favor to the development of cardiovascular disease. This is a normal life peoples. Next one. These are all the symptoms of the cognitive is nothing but mind related one. Because of anxiety, the symptoms what we have, the individual will be with fearing situations, indecisions, poor concentrations, loss of confidence, and self-talk. These are all the symptoms we can have and we can observe from the players. Then the next one we have to discuss about somatic symptoms. Because of anxiety, what are the symptoms we can observe from the body, human body, individual body, the tension, the clammy hands and feet, the heart rate increased, sweating and butterfly. These are all the somatic symptoms. That is symptoms related. That is the behavioral symptoms. So now, so far we discussed about what is psychoregulatory technique, what is the need of importance we have to give to the mind, then what is need, what is the relationship between the need and stress, what is the level of arousal, what level of arousal is needed for the sport, then what is anxiety, what are the types of anxiety. These are all the things we have discussed so far. But having the knowledge over these things discussed so far only, we can able to understand the technique we are going to discuss right now. So as a psycho-regulatory technique, in this session, we are going to discuss anxiety management training is one among the psycho-regulatory technique. Normally, we can have lot of psycho-regulatory techniques like anxiety management training, inoculation training, inner mental training, yoga, meditation, progressive muscle relaxation, autogenic training. Like that, these are all the number of psycho-related techniques available in nowadays. But these techniques are differ in nature. Autogenic training is different from that anxiety management training. Though these two training as a psycho-regulatory technique, but in nature, the anxiety management training, it reduces the level of stress. Whereas the autogenic, auto means genic means elevate, self elevate. So in that way, this is increase size up and size down. So we student must understand the nature of the psycho-related technique, whereby understand the player need, whether the player is needed to reduce the reduce level of arousal or to enhance the level of arousal. In that, if we want to enhance level of arousal, we have to apply the training like that. That is size of training. Whereas to reduce level of anxiety and level of stress, other size, that is called size down. That is anxiety management training. So size up and size down, those two different type of techniques available. Before you apply these two techniques, you should must understand the nature. So this anxiety management training is a very proven technique. It has been proved and applied to the players in United States, that is Olympic team, and that in USA team by that Richard M. Sheen, who is the author of this technique. He is a professor of Department of Psychology, Colorado State University, and he has served as a sports psychologist for USA team and US Olympic team. Such a legendary, from his own experience in nearly 4 decades, he prepared the anxiety management training. This technique is proved technique. Before I explain this technique, I should must remember my one professor at P. Maria, my guide, my research supervisor, and Dr. J.S.T. Acharya. He is a dean of National Sports University, Manipur. Previously, he served as a professor in that LNIP Gwalior and LNCP and a sports psychology association of India. These are the legendary that when I learned about anxiety management training, when I applied the anxiety management training, legendary in this situation right now. Now we are going to discuss about the technique, what are the procedures. Normally this anxiety management training, it has 9 sessions. Session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4, session 5. In session 2, session 1, the structure of the AMT, that is AMT is nothing but anxiety management training. Before we apply anxiety management training as a psycho-regulatory technique to the players or anywhere. Why I am saying this? This anxiety management training is not only applicable for player in the sport, also for player who have already affected by stress in the normal life also. So in both directions, people in the normal life and people in the sport life, this technique has been proved. First, explain the structure of the anxiety management training. Implication of the psychoregulative technique is very difficult for the investigator. I learned experience a lot from this. Because why I am saying this? By application of psychoregulative technique, a player or an individual can have or can develop their psychological skill. Like that, if you wanted to develop a physical skill of a player or an individual, physical skill is nothing but that is speed of an individual or endurance of an individual, strength of an individual. For giving some amount of training, physical training. But that type of physical training, when we are prescribing to the player or athlete, we can easily monitor and we can easily understand whether the player or individual is doing or not. Whereas in the case of psychoregulatory technique, when we are applying to the individual, we cannot able to monitor. We cannot able to understand whether the incision given by us is getting by him or not. So, as far as success of application of the psychoregulatory technique is concerned, the rapport in between the trainer and the trainee is very must. Having the rapport only, the success of this technique will be it will be failed. Now, very first we have to explain the structure of the anxiety management training. In the structure of the anxiety management training, as a trainer or as a educator, we have to extract the relaxed scene and the anxiety scene experienced by an individual or a player in their previous life. This is a very, very important factor as far as this technique is concerned. What is relaxed scene? What is anxiety scene? Relaxed scene is nothing but what experience, what player or individual they have in their life. Let us assume during the either in the traveling or anywhere, a player experiencing or remembering in the seashore or in the dense forest. That situation give him relaxation. So that type of thing we are calling relaxation scene. So we have to extract the relaxation scene minimum 6 to 8 from the participant. This is very much. You just ask the participant, you have to explain the situation, how to explain the experience you have in your life. That situation will give some amount of relaxation. During that time, the participant relax, I experienced much. So you have to record all those things. After recording all the scenes from the participant, then you have to, you alone, you have to verify whether the scene already explained by a participant is provided relaxation or not. This is a very must. As a trainer, you have to validate scene. Followed by, then you have to go for that anxiety scene. Anxiety scene is nothing but the individual remembering the situation in their sport life, if remembering the situation in the previous life, their situation is affecting much more. That type of scene we are calling anxiety scene. So normally பார்த்திருப்போம். Why we are collecting the anxiety scene from the player participant while we are applying the psychology technique, that is anxiety management training. இப்போ நம்ம பார்த்திருப்போம் ஒரு 10 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னால ஒரு மேட்ச் விளையாண்டு இருந்திருப்போம். வந்து ஒரு வந்து நம்ம மனசால பாதிக்கப்பட்டிருப்போம். That will be affected. That is called anxiety situation, anxiety situation. When we are remembering the situation we have gained nearly a decade before, a month before, when we are remembering right now, the same tense what we have heard in the during that time, the same we have heard right now also. For that only we have to collect that anxiety scene. But anxiety scene we have to collect from the player in different levels. The levels may be 60, 70 and 90. What is 60% intensity? 60% of intensity? What is 90% of intensity? When we are asking the participants to explain about the situation, feel about anxiety, then the participant will explain, in this situation I felt more. I feel it is gives more anxiety. The players only rated. The participants will explain the situation here. That also you have to record. From my own experience, I remembering that when we are asking the situation from the player or any participant, nearly 15 to 20 minutes he will explain the situation, but only 5 to 6 or 3 to 4 only that real life situations will be. Then the remaining you have to tailor. இப்போ நான் சொல்றது உங்களுக்கு புரியும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். ஒரு பிளேயர்கிட்டயோ ஒரு பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்டையோ அவனோட ஆன்சைட்டி சுச்சுவேஷன் நம்ம வாங்கும் பொழுது அவன் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணுவான். அந்த எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ண பொழுது அந்த ஆன்சைட்டி சீன்ல வந்து it will take 20 minutes நம்ம சொல்லியிருப்பாங்க. அந்த 20 minutes அவங்க சொல்லியிருப்பாங்க. அந்த 20 minutesல வந்து near 5 to 6 or 3 to 4 minutes only the real life situation இருக்கும். That only will make the individual to be the highly anxious இருக்கும், அல்லது anxiety இருக்கும். The remaining எல்லாம் வந்து we cannot able to that. So as a trainer, as a regulator, you have to tailor only the 4 minutes scene only, the remaining you have to discard it. Likewise, then you have to you ask the player, you just rate whatever the intensity you are giving to this situation. In this situation you are feeling more. You should not rate. The player only rated. The player will rate in the subjective format or in the objective format. For subjective format, high, low, very high or moderate. Or in the objective format, I feel 30 to 40% I feel regarding this anxiety situation. In some cases, he will I feel that 60% intensity will be higher. Some situations he will be rated 70, some situations is rated 90. So in that the rating of anxiety seen only by player, not by trainer. This is a very important factor in this anxiety management training, because having the relaxation scene we are getting from the participant, having the anxiety scene we are getting the participant, only it will be imparted to the player in the remaining session. So now this is third point is over. Then we have to instruct the tense release relaxation. The tense means they are giving. The instruction will make the participant to be tense. what instruction we are giving, that instruction will make the person to relax. That is called instruction tense release relaxation. Then we have to apply the relaxation scene visualization. Visualization, what is visualization? Visualization is nothing but imagery. We imagine ourselves, the relaxation scene, the experience we have in the previous, the user relaxation. Session 1 is, again I am repeating to you that you have to explain the structure of the anxiety management training very first. Following, you have to develop some relaxation scene. Then that you have to follow the insect in tense release relaxation. The tense release relaxation is concerned, I will give you in the form of cassette at the end of the session. So in the second session, the very first session will be completed. It will take to complete 60 to 70 minutes. In the session 2, it will take time 60 minutes. It's just repetitive of the session 1. Repetitive session 1, in this session, we no need to explain the structure of the AMT. Other than the structure of the AMT, we have to develop the relaxation scene, we have to insert the tense release, use the relaxation. These 3 aspects only we have to apply in the session 2, just the repetition of the session 1. After completion of the session 2, that is relax, the insert tense release relax, then visualization, we have to give some assignment to the homework for about 3 to 4 assignments. What the participant practice in this session, they have to undergo the same in their home settings for about 3 to 4 sessions. That is in the first week. Then following the session 3. Session 3, just please visualize what we discussed earlier regarding the anxiety scene. The level of scene, anxiety scene is rated by a player 60 level or 70 or 90. That is review and refine. What is review? Review is nothing but the participant already explained his situation to us. Explain the anxiety scenes to us. That scene already been recorded. What anxiety scene you have already recorded, that to be reviewed and that to be refined. But to that session, that anxiety scene, at least 2 different anxiety scenes, but the last is 16. Following the anxiety, you have to impart the anxiety scene by way of that is any audio systems. நான் பார்ப்போம், அவன் ஏற்கனவே சொல்லியிருப்பான், இந்த சுச்சுவேஷன்ல வந்து நான் திஸ் மச் ஆன்சைட்டி நான் ஃபீல் பண்ணேன், எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் ஆயிடுச்சு. ஸோ சச் டைப் ஆஃப் ஆன்சைட்டி சீனை அகைன் வந்து நம்ம அவனுக்கு ப்ளே பண்ணி காமிக்கிறோம். அப்படி ப்ளே பண்ணி காமிக்கிறதுல வந்து 2 சுச்சுவேஷன், ஒன்று 260 level. Automatically the player now will be tensed. எந்த ஆன்சைட்டி அவ ரிவ்யூ பண்றானோ, எந்த ஆன்சைட்டி சீன் அந்த பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்ஸ் வந்து ரீகலெக்ட் பண்றாரோ, அது ரீகலெக்ட் பண்ணும் பொழுது அந்த ரீகலெக்ஷன் வந்து will make the participant to be tensed. Now the player is in the level of, in the state of tension. This is the very first point of the review and refine 260 level. Following the state of tension, the participant, they have to reduce the tension control using some relaxation instructions. That is T control, tension control, and that is called no tensing. Then that anxiety arousal with the first anxiety scene followed by anxiety control. ஒரு anxiety scene வந்து நம்ம அவனுக்கு வந்து ப்ளே பண்ணி காமிக்கிறோம். அவருடைய anxiety scene வந்து அந்த பார்ட்டிசிபென்ட்டோட anxiety scene தான் நம்ம ப்ளே பண்றோம். அப்படி when we are playing the anxiety scene, automatically the following that, to control the tense To control the anxiety, we are using some relaxation injection. Then next again, the next anxiety scene we are imparting. Now the state of tension is high. Now the level of arousal is high. Following the anxiety arousal, anxiety level of anxiety high, following the level of arousal high. Now we are applying the anxiety controlling mechanism. The anxiety controlling mechanism here is a relaxation instructions. In the session 4, relaxation instructions we have to apply. C control, C ref. What is Q? Q is nothing but the stimuli a participant can have from the situation, environmental. Normally, what about the concentration of a person? What about the ability of a person concentration? Is it 2 minutes or 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 30 seconds? The ability of concentration as much as possible 30 to 40 seconds only. It is for genius. Because when we are giving our concentration to any object, we can able to concentrate over the particular object only for about few seconds. During the course of actions, our mind will be disappear and again it will be entered. That is called 30 to 40 seconds. It will be affected. It is affected by cues. Cue is nothing but stimuli. The stimuli we are getting from the environment. We have to control the environment. That is called cue control. Then that as we are already collected anxiety scene from the participants more than 6 or 8. Now we in the first session 3 we used two anxiety scene at 60% of intensity level. We are already over. Then the remaining 4 different or 6 anxiety scene we had in from the participant. That will be inserted again. Now the arousal and awareness of now, as in the previous session, after getting the anxiety scene, what he experienced in his own life, automatically he will be tense and followed by in the relaxation control instruction, he can able to control over the anxiety, having level of arousal high, having level of arousal reduced. He aware about the cognitive signs, he is aware about the body symptoms. In the session 5, it is nothing but repetition of the session 4. Repetition session 4 what the participant had, the same repetitions will be in the session 5 also. It is for about 60 minutes. Now we have to go for the session 6. Session 6, it is for 60 minutes. In this session, as we have already collected different anxiety scene from the participant at 90% level, it will be reviewed and it will be defined. That 90% level of scene of a participant will be reviewed. Review is nothing but the participant will recollect. When the participant is recollecting the 90% level of scene he experienced in his life, automatically he will be tensed. The very high tension is when the tension is high, when the psychological tension will be high, automatically the level of arousal will be high. When the level of arousal will be high, and the physiological systems of heartbeat and pressure also, blood pressure will also be high. These are the psychophysiological changes. In such a state, we have to apply relaxation instructions and also cue control. Following the relaxation instructions and key control, the level of anxious and the level of arousal will be reduced from the high to the moderate level. This is the basic mechanism of this technique. So anxiety arousal followed by anxiety control through method hand signal. The alternate 90 and 60 level of scene. Here, first we have to imply, we have to play, we have to review the 90% of level of scene to the participant. Then we have to give relaxation instruction. Then again we have to imply 60% of intensity scene. Again we have to relaxation instruction. Like that, on and off method. During the course, now that nearly 6 sessions we are completed, during the 6 sessions, the participant to conditions of sleep and sleep தூக்கம் வந்துரும். To overcome such type of that situation, you just touch the hand signal, touch the wrist of the participant to be aware, to make awareness. The session 7 is just a repetition of the session 6. Then the session 8 we have to, for that it will be session 8 to 10. All these 3 sessions, we have to give some relaxation instructions and keep control. Anxiety arousal, as we discussed, by different level of anxiety seen, that anxiety 60, anxiety 70, and anxiety 90. Then by anxiety control, like that, the home assignment 8 to 10 sessions. Following this, ரொம்ப நம்ம முக்கியமா பார்த்தோம்னா, for every session, session 1, session 2, session 3, session 4, session 5, before we start the session, we have to get the feedback from the participant. What experience you have had from that previous. It's also to be accounted. So in such a way, in the last session of 8 to 10, 8, 9, 10, we are applying relaxation instructions. Then anxiety, for anxiety arousal, again we are implying the various level of anxiety, followed by anxiety control. Anxiety control is nothing but the relaxation instruction. The key control, remaining A is anxiety scene, alternate the 90 and 60 level of anxiety scene. As at the end of the session, there is a termination of the interview. At the termination of interview, it is a viva voce test we have to conduct. We have to review, is there any behavioral evidence in the viva voce test? What are the behavioral? And we have to assess the coping skills of participants. And what about the ability of the participant to understand the situation, how he is monitoring the situations? Thus, the technique, these 8-10 sessions is over. Now, just I explain what we should keep in mind while we are conducting the interview. What is interview? The purpose of interview to collect information from the participant regarding the anxiety situations and relaxation situations. You have to identify topic. Only the participant different experience. From the experience they are giving, trainer, we have to identify the right ask they will complete the situation 1 or 2 sentences. In such a circumstances, we should ask the participant to give in elaborate regarding the topic they are giving to us. Then the procedure, the anxiety management training methods implement certain psychological procedures. Guided rehearsal is the relaxation scene and anxiety scene. The participant himself take rehearsal regarding their scenes. Then you have to develop the anxiety through imagery. Then that application of relaxation for anxiety reduction. The anxiety scene we already discussed about. As far as anxiety scene is concerned, the student must real experience. Having the real experience only, the player can be able to bring the situations right now. That situation only make the player to be tense. If the situation is not the real experience, that situation cannot bring the player to be tense or bring the player to the level of anxious. Then the progress during the session. For each session, as we discussed, we have to conduct some interview. We have to discuss about the previous session, where we can understand the progress during the session. Why we should conduct? As I already explained, this is a psychological skill training, not a physical training. In the physical training, we can able to monitor the progress of the progress or state of the player or athlete. Whereas in the psychological skill training, we cannot able to monitor. Only by we are this is the mind activity. So we have to ask the person regarding the progress during the session. Having the clarity, what is misunderstanding? Giving instructions, or when we are asking the participant to recollect situations, he will think this and that. That will happen, that will make the distance in between the participant and the trainer. If the distance is happening between the participant and the trainer, this training will not be successful. So in every session, being you have to clarify any misunderstanding by a participant. This is a very must. Then you have to assign the homework. So phase 1 நம்ம என்ன சொல்ல போறோம்? Now what I am explaining to you when we are asking the participant to identify the relaxation scene. What about that? How it should be? The relaxation which should be, which is rational and concrete to the client's problem. Scenes must be reality based and concrete. During the course of the action, the signal, a signal of the scene is from the client guide in focus and instruction toward. These are the steps we have to imply. Then in the phase 2, you have to identify the anxiety scene, start how to relax without tensing up, introduce the anxiety arousal and anxiety relaxation. These already we discussed, but so these 4 factors, what are the factors? Means the time of situation. In the situation, for example, I am giving this message. It is while we are applying the psychological technique. When the anxiety will be the situation given by the participant is really make the player to anxious or not. This is a very must. In some situations, the player will be very anxious. In some situations, the player will be very less anxious. But that participant will tell that I experienced a lot from the level of anxiety. They explain, but you have to monitor the time of the situation, the time of the activity, the location, followed by relaxation. These 4 factors we have to keep in mind while we are identifying the anxiety scene. Normally, the anxiety when it will be arise. When we are entering the competition, the opponent team is equivalent to the team of us, the anxiety will be arise. Whereas the opponent team is in the performance wise comparatively less, we cannot get the anxiety. So this is the time of the situation, then the time of the activity and the location. These are all the factors we have to keep in mind while we have to decide the anxiety scene. Until otherwise, the anxiety will not make the person to the tense and that it will be applied. Next. In the phase 4, the pre-interview followed by session, high intensity scene for arousal, then the alternate with moderate level scene, that is 60, 70 and 90. The subject's responsibility to terminate the anxiety scene, introducing relaxation control, then observation. These are all during the phase. So in the phase 5, we are expecting the subject to manage this. Now we have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. In that way, that it will be completed for a participant yearly 6 more sessions. The experience over the 6 more session helps the participant to manage the minor stress. Then that seat for relaxation. Then clear about body and cognitive cues. So this is the relaxation training. Relaxation with tensing, relaxation without tensing, and relaxation that at the end of the session I will play by using some cassette, please. The relaxation of hands and arms, that is clench your right fist, that is a tightness will be, the tightness makes tense, that is a clench your fist tighter and tighter, study the tension, keep it, feel the tension in right fist, now relax. That is tense, relax. Like that, the every body segments, that is eye, facial area, neck, shoulders, chest, stomach, feet, and legs. So every body part will be tighten, then relax, tighten and relax. That is a relaxation with tense, relaxation followed by tense, followed by relaxation, then tension only, then the relaxation. So far we discussed the anxiety management training. Like that, other technique we have, that autogenic training. Then that VMBA training, visual motor behavior reversal technique. This is one kind of the psychoregulative technique. We are applying in the sports settings also. This technique has given very fruitful result to the player in by way of correcting the errors during the game situations. Visual motor behavior reversal. Visual means visualization. Motor means movement. The movement behavior reversal. From the playing situations, if a player experience any error over their motor behavior, movement behavior, that movement behavior will be reversed himself after completion of the match by way of imagery. That is visual. That we are calling visual motor behavior reversal technique. Then the third one is stress inoculation training. So these are all the techniques we have in that as a psychoregulated technique. It will develop our psychological skills by way of reducing the stress, and some other technique, autogenic training, by way of enhance our level of arousal. Now, yeah.
ஓகே ப்ரோ திரும்ப கொடுக்கணுமா தாங்க
இல்லை இல்லை இது எடுக்கணும். எங்க நான் என்னுடைய இது போறது காணா.
என்னதுப்பா வரல பாருங்க
ஒண்ணுமே இல்லை.
வரல இல்ல
அண்ணா
இன்னும்
அண்ணா ஒரு 8 கொஸ்டின்ஸ் கேட்டிருக்காங்கண்ணா.
சரிண்ணா.
அந்த கொஸ்டின்ஸ் அப்படியே ஆன்சர் பண்ணி நான் ஸ்லைடு வந்து இது ஷேர் பண்றேண்ணா.
சரிண்ணா. அந்த டெக்னிக் போட வேணாமண்ணா. அந்த நேத்து போட்டு காமிச்சோம்ல,
ஆமா
அதை யூஸ் பண்ணலாமா வேணாமா?
அது இன்னொரு இதுல பாத்துக்கலாம்ண்ணா.
சரி ஓகேண்ணா.
ஓகே ஓகே. நான் ஒரு 8 கொஸ்டின்ஸ் கேட்டிருக்காங்கண்ணா. அந்த கொஸ்டின்ஸ்
ஓகேண்ணா.
நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின் அப்படியே பாருங்க.
Athletes after training session over, the athletes and competition the team goes out to manage the situation. Now they are telling about, they are asking about the pre-competitive anxiety. Because athletes after the training session over, the athlete comes to competition in athletes before the event start, he or she affect the anxiety. That is a psychological affect. This is a pre-competitive anxiety. The pre-competitive anxiety only now we discussed about that. We have to manage the anxiety. Hello?
கேக்குதுண்ணா.
கேக்குதுங்களா? How we have to manage the anxiety? இப்போ வந்து உதாரணமா this is the pre-competitive anxiety. The questions Sir is asking the before the event start முன்னால ஒருத்தருடைய anxiety எப்படி இருக்குன்றத, that is called we are pre-competitive anxiety ன்னு சொல்லுவோம். Pre-competitive anxiety is because of that individual expectations. Number of factors affecting the pre-competitive anxiety. The very first factors is that anticipation of a player or athlete. Anticipation of the players may expect much more from the coach. that is coach வந்து எஃபெக்ட் பண்ணுவாங்க. the player ஓட எப்படி பண்ணனும் இது பண்ணனும். the player will automatically be tensed, automatically will be anxious situations. சரிங்களா? So in that way they have to understand the sources of the stress, the sources of the pre-competitive anxiety. By way of understanding the sources of the anxiety only, they can able to overcome the pre-competitive anxiety.
Next question.
Anxiety, it is needed for the sportsman. Yes, it is anxiety is must. Anxiety is needed, but the level of anxiety will determine. The level of anxiety neither low nor high. It should be in the optimum level only. So without having anxiety, a player cannot be able to ready to act. If the level of anxiety is high and low, if the player is not having the anxiety அவனுக்கு இல்ல அப்படின்னு பார்த்தோம்னா he cannot able to understand the situation. அவனால வந்து என்னன்னே புரியாது, வெரி லெத்தார்ஜிக்கா இருப்பான். whereas அதே level of anxiety ரொம்ப ஹையா இருந்தா that situation also will give the adverse effect. அப்பயும் வந்து அவனால புரிய முடியாது, because over anxiously that is level of arousal will be ஹையா இருக்கும். அப்ப anxiety is must. must means வந்து the level of anxiety moderate level இருந்தா நல்லது, ரொம்ப லோவா இருக்க கூடாது, ரொம்ப ஹையா இருக்க கூடாது.
Next. இந்த question.
Anxiety improves performance level. Anxiety improves performance level சொல்ல முடியாது. The level of anxiety only as we discussed. Anxiety தான் எனக்கு தேவை. Anxiety is needed for a player. Not only for a player, it is for any common individual. எல்லாத்துக்குமே கண்டிப்பா வேணும் anxiety வேணும். ஆனா அந்த anxiety வந்து லெவல் தான் நம்ம வந்து ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ணணும். சரிங்களா? லெவல் லோவா இருக்க கூடாது, ஹையா இருக்க கூடாதுன்னு சொல்லியிருக்கேன் நான். அந்த லெவல் வந்து anxiety வந்து improves performanceன்றது when your anxiety is moderate level இருந்தா you can able to understand, you can able to manage the situation. So the moderate level of anxiety will not improve the performance, will give the high level performance. Improveன்றதை விட we can confidently say the performance of a player will be high when the level of anxiety is moderate. So anxiety will really is needed for the player's performance. கண்டிப்பா வேணும், anxiety வேணும். Anxiety is needed
next question.
for the performance. The anxiety is so much that it makes the performance bad. ஏற்கனவே நான் உங்களுக்கு சொல்லியிருக்கேன், anxiety ரொம்ப ஹையா இருக்கு. What it will happen சொல்லுங்க பார்ப்போம். When the anxiety ஹையா ஆகும் பொழுது the level of arousal also will be ஹையா ஆகும். Arousal means என்ன? That is body physiological systems வந்து ஹையா ஆகும். அவருடைய ஹார்ட் பீட் நிறைய இருக்கும், அவங்களுடைய விஷன் மாறும். அவனுடைய பார்வை வந்து நார்மலா விஷன் வந்து 180 இருந்து 210 டிகிரி இருக்கும். இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் நம்ம உட்காந்து பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கோம், இது வந்து 180 டிகிரி. நார்மல் பிளேயருக்கு வந்து 180 to 190 இருக்கும். ஆனா பட் நல்ல ஹைலி கான்சென்ட்ரேட்டட், ஹைலி மேனேஜபிள் சுச்சுவேஷன் பிளேயருக்கு வந்து அவனுக்கு கான்சென்ட்ரேஷன் லெவல் வில் பி, த விஷன் லெவல் வில் பி 180 to 210 வரைக்கும் இருக்கும். ஸோ அப்போ அவங்களுடைய விஷன் வந்து தட் இஸ் விஷனை வந்து பார்ப்போம். நேரோ பெரிப்ரல், பெரிப்ரல் விஷன் ஹையா இருந்தா தான், ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஐ ஆம் கிவிங், ஒரு கேம்ல ஆடிட்டு இருக்கோம். கேம்ல ஆடும் பொழுது நம்மளுக்கு பக்கத்துல இருக்க பிளேயர் யாரு, சைட்ல இருக்க பிளேயர் யாரு, வேற எங்க இருக்காங்கன்றத நம்மள அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ண முடியாது. உங்க ஆன்சைட்டி ஹையா இருக்குன்னா அரௌசல் ஹையா இருக்கும். அரௌசல் ஹையா ஆகும் பொழுது வந்து புரியும், நேரம் ஆயிரும். அப்ப நேரம் ஆகும் பொழுது உங்களால புரியவே முடியாது. அப்ப ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா உங்க பெர்ஃபார்மன்ஸ் will be affected. So இப்ப நான் திரும்ப உங்களை அகைன் ஐ ரிப்பீட்டிங், சைக்கலாஜிக்கல் ஆன்சைட்டி இஸ் சைக்கலாஜிக்கல் ஃபேக்டர். அது ஹையா இருக்குன்றீங்க, அது ஹையாகும் பொழுது அவனுடைய பிசியாலஜியில் பாதிக்கும், பிசியாலஜி பாதிக்கும் பொழுது அவனுடைய பிசிக்கலையும் பாதிச்சிடும். they cannot able to show their potential, the skill, that exhibiting the skill in the competitive situation. அல்டிமேட்டா பார்க்கும் பொழுது அவன் பெர்ஃபார்மன்ஸ் will be affected. Then last one, do stress and anxiety plays a major role when the participant take part in the hill station. Hill station நம்ம சொல்ல முடியாது. It is, we cannot say the anxiety is a psychological, it is a for hill stationக்கோ அல்லது வந்து கோஸ்டலுக்கோ அல்லது பிளெயின் ஏரியாவோ the geographical based influences we cannot have. அப்படி சொல்ல முடியாது. ஹில் ஸ்டேஷன்ல இருந்தா ஆன்சைட்டி அதிகமா இருக்குன்னு சொல்ல முடியாது. Then, hello sir, anxiety is advantage and anxiety is other, neither anxiety is advantage or disadvantage சொல்ல முடியாது. anxiety low moderate level தான் சொல்றேன் நான் உங்களுக்கு. hello 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 if a coach can sense during a match that the player is stressed, because as we discussed about the player's stress, it is because of not only by himself, the situation he perceived, also the situation he perceived means the situation he perceived from the fellow player itself, from the fellow, that the opponent team itself, that the environment in which he is playing, and also coach. So like that, these are all the different situations whereby the player is stressed. So the coach, what the coach is expecting from the player, that expression of the coach also make the player to be stressed. Here, the player should understand the situation, the competitive situations, and also they understand the expression of the coach and the reality of the coach, the reality of the expression of the coach. Having these three factors only, they can be able to manage the situation during the competitive situations. ஒரு பிளேயர் வந்து, ஹலோ
அண்ணா சொல்லுங்கண்ணா கேக்குதுண்ணா.
இப்போ எந்த கொஸ்டின்ஸ் நான் ஆன்சர் பண்றது? இந்த இருக்கா, do stress and anxiety plays a major role? Stress only is a product of anxiety. Anxiety is a product of the individual need. Hello? Stress and anxiety வந்து இப்ப நம்ம stress and anxiety plays major role when the participant take part in the hill station. Hill station is nothing but a geographical influences. So geographical influences already proved that. Hello?
லாஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின், அந்த கொஸ்டின் பாருங்க. அந்த how to overstress in athletics ஒரு கொஸ்டின் கேட்டிருக்காங்க பாருங்க.
ஆமா.
நான் இது லாஸ்ட் கொஸ்டின் தான்.
ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் நீட் வருது, anxiety வருது, anxiety பேஸ் பண்ணி ஸ்ட்ரெஸ். சரிங்களா? So stress is the first step for your athlete.
அண்ணா சொல்லுங்கண்ணா. அண்ணா
to overcome the stress, யூஸ் பண்ணி ஆகணும். இப்ப டெய்லி பிளேயர்ஸ் வந்து அவங்க மத்த ட்ரைனிங் இருக்கிறாங்க. To improve by increasing the psychological skill only, by increasing the coping skills only, the over stress in that meet. to keep the adverse
நம்ம ஆரம்பிச்சிடலாம்.
sir. Hello.
சார்
அண்ணா அண்ணா கேக்குதாண்ணா? சார் கேக்குதா? அண்ணா அந்த கொஸ்டின்ஸ் செஷன் இஸ் ஓவர்ண்ணா. Now it's அண்ணா very good session அண்ணா. Now is proposed to what of things Dr. Annadurai, librarian, Congo Arts and Science College. Sir, to deliver the what of things, sir.
Good afternoon to all. On behalf of the Department of Physical Education, I give my sincere thanks to everyone for participating in this webinar. I gratitude my sincere thanks to the management and our correspondent K. Palanisamy sir to give permission to conduct the program. I give my sincere thanks to our proud principal, Dr. N. Raman sir, for his support to all our activities. I wish to express my heartfelt thanks to the resource person, Dr. S.T. and Rajeswaran sir, to their wonderful speech in this webinar and also clear all the doubts of the participants. I give my sincere thanks to all the participants from various parts of the country. Thank you, one and all, present this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
நீங்க கன்க்ளூட் பண்ணுங்க. தேங்க்யூ.
I thank the management of the Congo Arts and Science College, correspondent sir, principal sir, and the convener of this webinar, Dr. Sankar, for giving me this opportunity to share the views over the psychological regulatory technique in sport. Thank you, sir.
முடிச்சலாமா?
Nah, very thank you, nah. This conduct the wonderful session, nah. Very thank for all the participation for the behalf of Congo Arts and Science College, nah. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Zoom problem பண்ணாது சார்.